political sphere today? Well, we've got a lot to catch up on, especially when it comes to our politics, especially when it comes to the things that we need to just touch on and see who is who in the zoo. Because, hey, while other people are getting kicked out of Vianos, other people are getting kicked out of metros. That's as much as I'll say before I tell you that today's current affairs is proudly brought to you by Keith and Gacy Radio. One of the pillars being current affairs, and one of the things that we definitely like to do is feed each other and catch up on exactly that. But before we do that, of course, we need to go and pay some bills.
Kings and queens once home is now the place where I can raise my head life peacefully and realize my own dreams coming to life for real. In your majestic journey of growth, I have strived your ways and become a rare being for us all. My hand class, a toast to a happy life. The possibilities are endless for my honorable generation. This is where my heart beats. This is King's Beach. A place where I can reimagine my dreams. This is where I can.
Turning your home only dreams into a reality has never been easy or closer than it is right now. Let us help you make your way home. Call MHG Property Development Specialists today and secure your own piece with Kings Beach. That suits exactly what you're looking for. On 053 726 0551 or visit www.kingsbeachrealestate.co.za.
MHG and home goals.
Welcome to it, 24 after 9. Let's get straight into the current affairs. Hey guys, a lot is happening, and you definitely want to catch up on this. The ANC and all the other parties, the Democratic Alliance, the Economic Freedom Fighters, your Patriotic Alliance, your Action SA, all of the parties have been showing each other flames. But I think the party that has seen the worst of the losses when it comes to what they were aiming for definitely has to be a current ruling party, the ANC, and for many reasons. But let's get straight into it now. The South Africa's ruling African National Congress has lost control. In fact, we're going to come back to the story at the end because it's one of our ones which also speak to the continental effect of what is going to happen. Don't worry about that. We'll get right back to it. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi went on a paternity leave and was reluctant to share information with former Defense Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula and her executive during the July unrest. Now, Mapisa-Nqakula yesterday testified at the SA Human Rights Commission during about the hearings during July's riots and looting in parts of KZN and in Gauteng, mentioning egos and alleged lack of cooperation from Mkhwanazi and the police. She was forced to deploy generals instead of colonels due to an ego. When she arrived on KZN during the unrest, she was confused when Mkhwanazi withheld information at a meeting and spoke about a challenge that had nothing to do with the riots. She said she had daily conversations with President Cyril Ramaphosa from July 9th when the riots and looting erupted and when they decided that the army would not be deployed. However, on July 11th, Ramaphosa called her with a request to deploy the SA National Defence Force to KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, where the riots had resulted in deaths, devastation and chaos. She then contacted Police Minister Bheki Cele to ask him to send a letter in accordance with legal protocols for deployment of the army. The Defense Force is trained for crowd control. It is not trained to prevent people from committing crimes. The matter in which they have been trained is such that it's easy to find a solution where instead of stopping what they were supposed to do, transgressions are committed, particularly because for some reason among our people in our communities, people get very excited when they see soldiers and they provoke them. just to see how they'll react. And this is the reason we made sure that we had to be proper in the processes. You don't just wake up and deploy. You think your reasons through. You must know exactly why you are deploying the military, and it must be a request from the police after proper assessment has been done. And once that the police decide, they make the request, and through the Minister and Defense, and of course, the Minister writes a letter which is co-signed by the Minister of Police and Defense for the attention of the President. So at that point, even the Commander-in-Chief himself cannot just take a decision on the basis of a letter, she said. However, soon after Mapisa Ngagula and Ramaphosa decided that the army should not be deployed, the president called for the soldiers on the ground. Mapisa Ngagula told the commission that at that stage, the police had not called for the army. After her conversation with Ramaphosa, she contacted Cele to co-sign the letter calling for the army. But she said starting point for deployment was at key points because the police believed they could manage the crowd control. Soldiers were deployed at oil refineries in Richards Bay and trade routes between Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Earlier in the day, National Police Commissioner General Kehla Stole said the riots were a planned gathering with unpredicted modus operandi. He conceded police should have had a plan of action in place because it was planned gathering, but emphasized protesters had changed their modus operandi to the first of its kind in SA. And what we were left with, of course, we all know the aftermath of that. Yikes. Things are not looking good for the ANC currently, thanks to the concerted efforts by several political parties to keep the governing party out of power in some of the country's metros. Action SA leader Herman Mashaba has been open about the aim of getting rid of the ANC come hell or high water. In fact, Mashaba and his party were so set on this that they lent their support to the DA, which led to the election of Dr. Mpho Phalatse as Joburg mayor. Voting for new mayors is set to continue throughout the week, particularly in the country's metros, eThekwini, Mangaung, Tshwane. Proceedings in eThekwini will resume again tomorrow. The ANC has already been dealt major blows, having been ousted in 2 metros in Gauteng. The DA's Phalatse and Tanya Campbell are now wearing the mayoral chains in Joburg and Ekurhuleni, respectively. Phalatse won by a resounding margin, bagging 144 votes, while the ANC's Mpho Muerane only managed to receive 121. The DA's candidate Vasco da Gama was elected speaker. Da Gama, who was in the post between 2016 and 2019, received 147 votes, while the ANC's Eunice Mgcina got 118. Now, while Campbell managed to defeat the ANC's Mzwandile Masina by bragging 116 votes, 11 more than him, the DA's Raymond Dlamini was elected speaker and received 116 votes out of 220, while the ANC's Dora Mlambo got only 104. By the looks of things, the ANC is set to lose another metro in Gauteng, and that is Tshwane. Voting for the new mayor is expected to get underway today, and Mashaba has made it clear that they intend doing the same thing to the ANC in the capital as they did in Joburg. Issue. Tough times. Whew. Anyway, as we continue, I told you a lot is happening. Residents of Malamulele in Limpopo are very afraid and frightened after heavily armed men stormed and robbed the local police station of rifles, pistols, and ammunition on Saturday night. They said they had lost the little respect they had for the police after they were rounded up by a criminal gang and locked in the back of their own van in a suspected inside job. Police Colonel Athlenda Mate confirms that at about midnight on Sunday, a group of armed suspects stormed the Malamulele police station and held officers at gunpoint in the community service center of the precinct. Some members were forced into the back of the van, while one member was ordered to unlock the safe where the suspects took rifles, pistols, which are 9mm pistols, shotguns, and an undisclosed amount of ammunition. So, She said that after robbing the police station, the suspect proceeded to a local food outlet and a filling petrol station where they robbed the businesses of an undisclosed amount of cash. All the role players, including the multidisciplinary team consisting of crime scene experts and specialized units within the SAPS, are combining the scene and are in pursuit of the heavily armed men. Crime analyst and lecturer at the University of Venda, Ndibuo Situnga, said it was obvious that Malamulele residents would lose confidence in the police if they had not done so early or already. The job of the police is to protect the community. So in this case, they failed to protect themselves in a police station where it should be the safest place. There is a high possibility that an inside job, because of how they know there were so many guns there, said Situnga. He added that the community members had always been skeptical of the police because of their behavior. Sometimes they can even escort criminals in the villages when there is a problem. They always come late, which has made it possible to lose trust in the law enforcement. But this incident takes the cake. So much happening. I told you. Flames, I tell you. Flames. Cape Town, the city of Cape Town has appointed a newly appointed mayoral committee, which will have a strong focus on creating a conducive environment for the economic growth on eradicating poverty. Now, the mayor, Jordan Hill Lewis, unveiled his team on Monday, saying that members had a strong mandate from residents to end power cuts in the city over time, to invest more into community safety, and to fight for greater control over the passenger rail in the metro. The new mayoral committee members responsible for the energy is Beverly van Renen, who Mayor Jordan Lewis said would play a key role in working to the end of the blackouts in the Cape Town over time. The more we can reduce our reliance on Eskom, the more we can buy much cheaper power from the other sources. Then we can pass the savings to the residents of the city of Cape Town. Another newcomer is Community Service and Health MACO member Patricia van der Ross. She says, what I'm excited about is putting my mayor's 7-step pledge into the community service and health and seeing how it will perform. Malusi Boy retained his position in the human settlements portfolio, while Teresa Ace has been appointed the mayoral committee member for the corporate services. That's what they say. All right. The High Court in Pretoria will hear the challenge to former President Jacob Zuma's medical parole. It is being brought by the Democratic Alliance, AfriForum, and the Helen Suzman Foundation. They want the parole reviewed and set aside. And Zuma was granted medical parole in September for his 2-year contempt sentence. So that will be heard in the High Court. Interestingly enough, we'll have to see and hear what they say about it at the end. The South African Police Service Management has announced the appointment of Major General Nomtheteleli Lillian Mene as the new provincial commissioner for the Eastern Cape, with effect from the 1st of December. The acting National Commissioner of SAPS, Lieutenant General Francina Vuma, said the appointment of Mene was a victory for the empowerment and advancement of women in law enforcement. Given her experience as a station commander at the grassroots level of policing, we are confident she will add value to the Eastern Cape province as we move towards prioritizing women empowerment in the SAPS through SAPS Women Empowerment Agenda 2018 to 2024. We commit ourselves to produce women whose integrity and moral courage will uphold and enforce the law in a bid to build safer communities for the people of South Africa. Mene is promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General and takes over the reins from Lieutenant General Lizzie Wenchinga, who is now the Deputy National Commissioner responsible for crime detection. The 56-year-old, born and bred in Humansdorp in the Eastern Cape, brings with her a wealth of experience, having served the SAPS for over 37 years at various levels in the Eastern Cape and Western Cape. She holds a BTech degree in policing from the University of Tshwane, or Tshwane University of Technology. And Mene began her career in the SAPS in 1984 as a constable at the New Brighton police station in Gqeberha. She steadily rose up the ranks and became one of the first female station commanders in 2000 when she was appointed the head of St. Francis Bay Police Station in the Eastern Cape. Manny has also served as station commander of the Port Alfred Police Station in 2009. She moved to the Western Cape, where she became a station commander at Grabo Police Station with the rank of senior superintendent. In 2010, she was promoted to the rank of brigadier, where she held the same position at the Stellenbosch Station. In 2015, she was transferred to Khayelitsha to hold the same post. In 2016, she was promoted to the rank of major general after becoming a cluster commander in Worcester. Manny has been acting as a deputy provincial commissioner responsible for support services in the Western Cape since the 1st of June. Congratulations to her and welcome to you. The Eastern Cape welcomes all great law enforcement with open arms. And finally, across further afield in this beautiful continent of ours, traveling across Africa, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken saw firsthand the limits of America's influence abroad. Blinken confronted authoritarianism, growing threats from newly energized extremists, and persistent challenges posed by COVID-19 and climate change, all of which have stubbornly resisted various U.S. interventions. And now on his three-nation tour last week to Kenya, Nigeria, and Senegal, was he able to escape obvious signs of no intense competition between the USA and China? A geopolitical power struggle that has been playing out largely in China's favor for the past 2 decades, especially in Africa. Now, before leaving the continent at his last stop in Senegal, Blinken said he had been well received by all three leaders, but he allowed that we have to be judged on what we do and not what we say. The limits of Washington's reach have been evident for some time, but have been highlighted in recent months as President Joe Biden has promoted an America is back narrative intended to signal a U.S. return to the international arena and institutions that his predecessor had eschewed. Now, in Nairobi, much of the secretary's visit and drives through the Kenyan capital took place in the shadow of the literally underneath a massive Chinese-financed elevated expressway construction project. In Abuja, Blinken's motorcade from the airport past the giant and unmissable headquarters building of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce in Nigeria, where a top official spoke only partially in jest of playing in the US and China off each other and others and China's attractiveness as a partner. Issue. And in Senegal, the capital Dakar, was gearing up to host a major China-Africa trade and investment event in less than 10 days after Blinken's departure on Saturday. So while the Biden administration efforts to help African nations combat coronavirus pandemic and encourage climate-friendly policies appear to be making some initial progress, the broader picture is far less encouraging. That's it for our current affairs. I told you, so much happening, but we're glad to be going through it with you and having a look at all the things that are getting to us, and let's get it done together.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.
And now, South African music at its best.
On KNR.